Good evening, beloveds. Oh, gotta lose that camera. Okay, let's try this again. Um, or not, or not. Okay. What is wrong with me? Okay, maybe I need to move it closer. I don't know. It's just overburdened today. All right, maybe. There we go. Oh, I forgot to take this off. Okay, good evening. Because it is 10 o'clock at night. And it is 10 o'clock at night because I played hooky today from doing this at 9 a.m. because we went to Sherwood Forest Fair. And we went to Sherwood Forest Fair for two reasons. One, it is my partner's birthday tomorrow. So that was part of it. And two, a friend of mine got married. And so we went to the fair. And fortunately, another friend is in the same campground. And so because I would have never found this place in the campgrounds if she hadn't guided me. So she came into fair, collected us, took us back to the campgrounds. We hung out, chatted, because the wedding, as weddings do, didn't start on time. And then we hauled our behind. She gave us bottles of water. That was very helpful. And then we hauled back into fair. And then we hung out in fair for several hours. It was great. It's been a while since I've seen her. And so it was fantastic. And we really had a grand time. Caught a bunch of shows. Really didn't do a whole lot of shopping. But I mean, at this point, there's not a whole lot we need. So, stopped by a couple of artists to make sure that, we supported a couple of artists that we know out there for sure, and looked around and just had a good time. We just had a good time. I will tell him, thank you, Cleopatra. So that's why I'm doing this at 10 o'clock at night. And we are almost done with this book. Almost done with this book. The next book is going to be, and I appear to have carried it off. The next book is going to be a greatest, it's a 365. It was done by the Science of Mind magazines, and and it's a collection of apparently a number of people that were Jesse's teachers. So it'll be cool. I had to go to a used book site to find it. But it was, they had some, and it wasn't in too bad a shape. So now by the time I get done with it after a year. All right. It is March 19th. Our title is I Am Governed by the Law of God. And our quote is, for I delight in the law of God after the inward person. And that is Romans 7:22. This scriptural passage tells us first of all that we should have delight in living. All creation is a manifestation of the delight of God. God seeing itself in form, God expressing itself in its own actions, and God knowing itself in us as us. For the highest God and the innermost God is one God, but not two. And not two. But the passage also suggests that in addition to delight, the enjoyment of realizing that we are alive and awake and aware, we are also subject to the exact law that must govern everything, the law of the Lord that is perfect. We are, then, to combine our idea of delight with the concept of law, of love, and the law are the two greatest realities of life. Love is the outpouring of the Spirit. Law is the law as divine government. You can tell I'm tired. Let us then find delight in the law of the Lord, which is perfect, as we say daily to ourselves. I am one with the infinite Spirit of love, one with the outpouring of the divine life. I am governed by the perfect law of the inward person, made in the image and likeness of that which is pure, whole, and perfect. My whole life finds its impulsion in love, and all my actions are governed by the law of good. As I meditate upon this perfect law of God, I realize that it is operating in my affairs, in my body, in my mind, and in my spirit. I know that the law of good is absolute, it is complete, it is operating in and through me now, bringing about everything that is good, everything that is right, everything that is happy. Since this law must be perfect as well as exact, and since it must know how to bring everything about that is necessary to my good, I place my whole trust in it. And so I say today and every day, the perfect law of good is governing everything I think or do, and in all my relationships with others. I delight in this law, and I delight in the divinity within myself and all people. I'm sorry, baby. Oh. Okay, Cleopatra, I will message you the name and the editor. Okay. I'm tired. So we're caught in the love and law. And sometimes we want to rebel against the law, but what we have to remember is that when we rebel against the law, it goes sideways. Because there's a way that the world works. And I'm not talking about human law. I'm talking about the way nature works. Nature has a specific set of steps, and it always does those specific set of steps, no matter what it is doing. So, the best thing that we can do is to understand the law and then work within the bounds of it, including the fact that the law does not judge. The law says, what do you want? You tell the law what you want, and the law says, okay, let me get that for you. And sometimes we ask the law for things that we think we want, but we don't actually want them. And the law brings them to us, and then we're like, well, I didn't really want this. And the law does not judge. So it behooves us to know ourselves. And I think maybe that's what he's talking about. When we know ourselves, when we know that we are 1, spirit, 2, love, 3, a manifestation of, and then bound up in that boundless glory, then we are more discerning about what we ask for. So, all right, let me see. Okay. I am governed by the law of God. That's where we are. And the law is something to be celebrated. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. It says the inward man, the inward person. That's what I mean about knowing who we are. When we know who we are, then we will abide by the law because we understand how it works, and we will work within the bounds of that law. So, okay, that was Romans 2, 7:22. Please feel free to go look the whole thing up. I can feel the sun. I put sunscreen on before I went this morning, but I can feel that it possibly wore off throughout the day. My nose may be a little red tomorrow. Okay. So he's talking about the Romans passage. This scriptural passage tells us, first of all, that we should have delight in living. And that's what today was. That's what today was. Today was a delight in living. It was because we couldn't have asked for better weather. It was in the 60s to low 70s. It may have gotten into the mid 70s. It was a really nice day. It was mostly sunny. And and we were with people that we knew and loved and cared about. We saw friends, we had conversations, we went to a celebration of the joining of two people. Um, and so life is meant to be enjoyed. It is meant to be enjoyed. So the scripture passage first tells us that we should have delight in living. All creation is a manifestation of the delight of God. And sometimes we need to take a break from the stuff that we do every day and go and delight in life, whatever that looks like. Today, we spent all day outside in this, at a Renaissance festival. That is how we delight in life. And we need to, because life gets weird when we don't. Life gets weird when we don't. So if you have not made the time to go and celebrate life, please do. Please do. That's one of the things. My ordination is coming up, which, if you want to know, it's going to be May 27th, probably at 8 o'clock at night, maybe 7:30, and it will be at CLC. But that's one of the things that Reverend Jesse said is, it's been a difficult couple of years, and what we want is something to celebrate. And that's what this ordination is going to be, which is really weirding me out because it's going to put me at the center of attention, and I don't generally like to be there. But his point is that it's a reason to celebrate. So I'm going to accept being the center of attention for a couple of hours, and then we'll get on with the rest of it. But it's the delight in life. It's the delight in life. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. No, I'm not. I'm just going to go back to talking about this. All right. So, all creation is a manifestation of the delight of God. God seeing itself in form. That's us. God experiencing itself in its own actions, which is the stuff that we do. And God knowing itself in us as us. For the highest God and the innermost God is one God, and not two. So all of God, it's like the Rumi quote. The Rumi quote is, you are not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. And that's what God is. God exists in the fullness at every single point in all of time and space. Which means right here, right now, in you. And God is happy about that. So, but the passage also suggests that in addition to delight, the enjoyment of realizing that we are alive and awake and aware, we are also subject to the exact law that must govern everything. The law of the Lord is perfect, meaning whole, meaning complete, meaning all-encompassing. There is nothing left out of the law. We are, then, to combine our idea of delight with the concept of law, for love and law are the two great realities of life. Love as the outpouring of spirit, law as the divine government, law as how stuff gets done. If there was just the outpouring of love, nothing would get done. And if there was just the law, again, nothing would get done. If you're familiar with the Tarot deck, it's the Emperor and the Empress. Because the Empress is that gushy, creative, messy energy that is the energy of creation. And the Emperor seems kind of cold and hard because the Emperor is structure. And that's what the law is. The law is structure that helps us get stuff done. It's just like time isn't real to God, but we need time while we are on this plane to get stuff done. Because if we didn't have time, it would all happen at once. And then where would we be? All right. Let us then find delight in the law of the Lord, which is perfect, as we say daily to ourselves. Occasionally when I'm doing the have a great day, I remind you to have a productive day. Well, that's what the law is for. The law is for us to get stuff done. So, this is what we are saying daily to ourselves. In these words or others, whatever words really resonate with you. So here are your power statements, your affirmations, or the third step in treatment, which starts with an R and just popped right out of my head. Realization. There we go. I almost said resolution. I was like, that's not right. I am one with the infinite spirit of love, one with the outpouring of the divine life. I am governed by the perfect law of the inward person, made in the image and likeness of that which is pure, whole, and perfect. That's that bliss body that I've talked about. That's the bliss body that I've talked about with Goswami. That is God's idea of us. God's idea of us is perfect, whole, and complete. And when we are not feeling that way, it's God's idea we want to go back to. My whole life finds its impulsion in love, and all my actions are governed by the law of good. As I meditate upon this perfect law of God, I realize that it is operating in my affairs, in my body, in my mind, in my spirit. It is operating all of the time in all of these things. And yet, when we know it and cooperate with it, we work better. The law works perfectly just the way it is. But when we know what it is, then it works better for us. We work in complement with the law. Because when we don't know what we're doing, life gets messy. That's not the law's fault. That is us not knowing what's going on around us. All right? Ooh, okay. And I know that the law of good is absolute. It is complete. It is operating in and through me now, bringing about everything that is good, everything that is right, everything that is happy. And since this law must be perfect as well as exact, and since it must know how to bring about everything that is necessary to my good, because it does, it knows everything. The reason we have to ask, the ask is about acceptance. The act is about signaling our acceptance, our willingness to accept our good. That's why we ask. It's not that the law doesn't know. It's just until we ask, we may not be ready to accept. I place my whole trust in it. I know who I am. I know what I want, and I ask for what I want. And then I let spirit and the law figure out the how. Because it has an infinite variety of ways of bringing my good, your good, to us that we can get in the way of if we try and dictate the how. And so I say today and every day, the perfect law of good is governing everything I think or do and all my relationships with others. I delight in this law, and I delight in the divinity within myself and all people. Now, it is kind of late for the mission of the day, but hey, you may be watching this some other time. So the mission for the day, the mission for today, if you choose to accept it, is to delight in the divinity within yourself and everyone else. And to go and delight in life. Go and enjoy. Do something simply for the pleasure of doing it. Because so often we do things with purpose and we don't do them for pleasure. So I'm going to suggest, and it doesn't have to be today, because there's not much of today left, because I always suggest to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. And I give you real and practical and helpful suggestions, like taking a walk, taking a nap, taking a 3 deep breaths. But I'm going to suggest, if not today, in the near future, to do something simply for the pleasure of doing it, whatever it is. I will tell you that today we went to the candy shop, and it was that conversation of, well, do you want to go to the candy shop? Only if you do. Well, we don't really need to go to the candy shop. And I walked away and I was like, oh wait, that candy shop has the mint chocolate malted balls. And he took that and shot into that candy shop. And he bought 2 bourbon caramel pieces of chocolate. Now, we did get the mint chocolate malt balls as well, but we tried them because we were afraid that they would melt. And I am telling you, just for the sheer pleasure of feeling that caramel, that bourbon caramel chocolate melt in your mouth. When was the last time that you ate something that tasted really good and you didn't feel guilty about it? So, that loving, kind, and compassionate thing, sometime in the near future, do something simply for the pleasure of it. All right? And then try and do that a little more often. Okay, beloveds. All the usual things. Do something to engage your mind and your body. Bright light first thing in the morning. Drink plenty of water, which I'm going to go do. I'm going to go drink an electrolyte drink now, so I don't end up with cramps in the middle of the night because I didn't drink enough water today. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's a state of consciousness, and it is something that we can create for us every moment. Every moment. And sometimes those small moments, like a bourbon caramel chocolate piece, can create a moment of heaven. And when we string those together, we'll figure out we've had a pretty good life. Had a pretty good life. So, look for the good, praise it. Have a great day, a great night, an amazing night, a wondrous night, a magical night. Oh my God, did you see the moon at night? We came home a lot later than we usually do, and we got on 99 and we're driving on 99 and we're headed directly at the moon as it comes up over the horizon, and it's orange and it's huge because it's on the horizon, and it tricks our brain because our brain's like, oh, the moon is huge because I can see it in relation to the trees, and it was orange and it was fantastic and it was amazing. And that is the kind of day that I have had. Just one fantastic, amazing, wonderful, good thing. So, have a good night. If that is too much pressure, simply have an evening, because you are enough just as you are. Yeah, I know, I get excited about the moon. All right, I'm going to go to bed, get a good night's sleep. I will be back at 9 a.m. to do tomorrow, and then we will have an amazing service for you. Jesse's working on the 30-day mental diet. It's a pretty amazing book. Real short, kind of sweet. Really interesting. So, take care of yourselves. Know that you are loved. Absolutely, you are loved. And I will see you in the morning. All right, beloveds? Sleep well. Dream big.